Hello and welcome to our first Dreamweaver website design project. In this series you'll learn how to build a complete website from start to finish using Dreamweaver CS6. You can use your own images and resources for this project, or if you prefer you can download all of the project files shown in these tutorials. You can also get the complete series manual in printed or ebook format along with the high definition video tutorials from wizibooks.com. In our last lesson, we copied the files that we need for our gallery into our website folder, and we also inserted some links to those files. Now, if you've done this correctly, up in the related file area, you should now see that the gallery.html file is related to 4 other files within our website. So just make sure that these file names are appearing up in the related files area. Okay, let's scroll down our page and let's get to the banner section. What I'm going to do is switch to our finished version of the web page for a second, and you'll notice here that we don't have a banner on our gallery page, and also we don't have any of those boxes at the bottom of the page. We've just got our heading, a paragraph of text, and then our gallery images. So let's go back to Dreamweaver. I'm going to view this page as it is at the moment, and I'm going to do that by pressing F12, and that will open up my default browser. So this is our gallery at the moment, and it's got the banner in there. We've got our title and a couple of paragraphs of text, and then at the bottom we've got our 3 boxes. Well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get rid of the banner. I'm also going to delete one of the paragraphs of text, and we'll also get rid of these 3 boxes. So back into Dreamweaver, and we can see our banner area, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the entire banner div from the opening banner div to the closing banner div, and we'll simply delete that. I'll also delete one of the paragraphs of text in the content area, and then we'll delete all of our box divs as well. So we've got 3 in all, so we'll select all of those and delete. We'll tidy our code up a little bit. So we've got our opening content div followed by our closing content div. Now Dreamweaver's messed around with my code a little bit. For each of my divs I like to have this comment to identify what the divs are, and Dreamweaver seems to have removed my comment from here, and I think it's replaced it with this editable instance comment when we created our editable regions. So I'm just going to place my cursor after that closing div and bring that comment down onto a new line, and then I'm going to copy this footer comment and paste it at the end of this div, and then we'll rename this content. And now we can see what this div closes off. Okay, so this is our content area, and it's inside that we're going to place our gallery. So we're going to need a new div in here. I'm going to make myself a little bit of space, and we'll open a div tag, give it the ID of gallery, and we'll close that div, and again we'll give this a closing comment. Now we'll save our page at this point and come back to our preview and refresh that. So now you can see that the banner's gone and our boxes have disappeared, and we've just got a space underneath our last paragraph now for where our gallery will appear. And we'll switch back to Dreamweaver. We'll place our cursor in between the opening and closing gallery divs, and this is where we're going to be inserting our images. So I'm going to tab in slightly to start with, and for each of the images that appear in our gallery we're going to need a couple of lines of code. We could put this all on one line, but it's a lot easier to handle if we split the line in 2. So the first thing we need is a link to those image files. So I'm going to start and open up with an anchor tag, and then the link to the file will start with href. I'll press enter. That opens up the browse option, so I'll press enter again. And what we need to do is to go to our image folder. So I'll step up one, come to Images, and the images that we're going to be using are all contained in the Gallery Images folder. So I'll open that one up, and we'll start with image number 1. I'll select that and we'll say OK. And we're also going to have a title included in that lightbox. So we'll type title, and we'll just put some placeholder text there for a second, and we'll call it title 1. Now we'll put the closing angle bracket for the A tag, and then we'll start a new line of code. And in here we need the source for the image. So this is going to be the exact same process that we just used for the href, but this will actually identify the source. So we'll open an image tag, source or src, browse, and again we'll select image 1 and say OK. Then we'll close our image tag, and then we need to close the A tag as well. So we'll just close that off, and there we are. There's our first image inserted. So let's save that for a second, and let's go and preview that. So this is what the page looks like before, and when we refresh, now we've got our first image in our gallery. Now everything's been formatted here because we've already inserted the CSS for this, and we've linked this HTML document for it. So we'll have a look at the CSS a little bit later on. But for now, the reason that it's appearing like this is because all of that CSS is already in place. And if you're using your own resources and you've downloaded your own Lightbox files, you should have a CSS file supplied with that. So let's switch back to Dreamweaver. And just so that we can test that this is actually working, I'm going to give myself a little bit of space underneath, and I'm going to copy this 2 lines of code, and we'll paste another instance of that underneath, and then one more. So now we've got 3 images, identical because we haven't actually changed them yet, but let's save it there and then go back and preview. So now we've got the 3 identical images in there, and from here we can test to see if our lightbox works. So let's just make sure that that works. We'll open that one up, and yep, there it goes. It opens up quite nicely. We'll close that down for now, and now let's go back to the Dreamweaver code. So we've got the 3 identical images in there at the moment. Now obviously we don't want all our images to be the same, so I'm going to edit this code to pick up on the other files. So remember, we've got 2 lines of code per image. So we've got image 1, title 1, and we've got image 1 also in the source. Now all I'm going to do is to edit the second line of code to say image 2, and we'll also change the title to 2, and then 3 for the last image. So now we've got image 1, image 2, and image 3. Let's save that, and let's switch back to our preview, and when we refresh, now we've got 3 images in there. So I'll click on the middle image. That one opens up nicely. We've got our next button and our previous button, so we can scroll through these images. Next, and you'll see at the bottom there the title 3, so if we wanted to put our own title in there we could. And also if I click outside of that, it closes down. When you hover your mouse over an image, it also comes up with that title. So we've got title 2 there, title 3. You might want to put your own titles for these images in. Now in our finished version we've got 14 pictures in all, and you can have as many as you like really. You can have just half a dozen or maybe even 40. So let's switch back to Dreamweaver. As you've probably learned by now, I like to copy and paste. It saves me a lot of typing. So what I need to do is to copy 14 of these 2 lines of code for the 14 images that we're going to use. So I'm going to come up and copy the first 2 lines again. So copy, and then we've already got 3 in there. so we need another 11. So I'm going to paste, and that's 4 images, 5, 6, give myself a little bit of room, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So now we've got enough code in there to hold all of our images. What I'll need to do now is to go through these and change this first one to 4, and the reference to the source underneath that also needs to be 4, and we'll also update the title. That's going to be 4. So I'm going to go down now and renumber all of these, but I'll pause the video while I do that. Okay, so here we are. We've renumbered all of our images, and we've got 2 lines of code for each image. So we've got 2 lots of 8, 2 lots of 9, 10, and so on. Let's save this, and now let's go and preview our finished page. So here it is with just the 3 images. When I refresh, all 14 images come in, and let's just test the gallery again. So now we can scroll through the images, and when we're finished we can click off. Now the sizes of these images in the gallery at the moment, they're actually square images, and the sizing of these thumbnails is done via the CSS. Now each of these files is different. This one is a landscape file, so it's wider than it is tall, and if we go back one, you'll see that this is a portrait image. And what I've done is I've made all my images, although they're different sizes, I've made sure that the height of the images is 450 pixels. And that way the image doesn't disappear off the screen. So all of my images are 450 pixels in height. So that's our gallery complete. And if you want to add more images, all you need to do is to add more lines of code underneath this. So let's just have a quick look at the CSS code for this gallery. So we've got a Lightbox Gallery CSS, and there's some selectors up here for the actual Lightbox effect, but if we scroll down we'll come to the gallery style area, and in here we can play about with some of the settings for our image galleries. So if we wanted to display 6 images across as opposed to 7, we can actually resize those images. We can do that by changing the width here. They're currently set to 90 pixels wide, 90 pixels high. If we change these values, then the image thumbnails will become bigger. We can change the border color and the padding and margin settings as well. So if you're feeling confident, have a little play with these settings and see what changes you can make to the appearance of your gallery. If you found this series of videos helpful and you want to receive updates on video tutorials as they're released, why not subscribe to my channel? And don't forget to like and share it with your friends.